Another thing I want to point out is that we've been given this very simplistic view of what to eat and how to eat. You know, everybody talks about, oh, well, if you just eat less food, you wouldn't be fat, right? Well, that's not really exactly how your body processes things. I mean, yes, if you overconsume, you're more likely to gain weight. But there's control factors, and many control factors on your metabolism. And it's not so simplistic. And, you know, and it's not as simplistic as we've been taught about, well, if you eat fat, you get fat. And, you know, if you eat carbohydrates, you don't, you know, that's not supposed to make you fat, right? Because it's lower in calorie than fat. But we tend to eat 4 or 5 times the amount of fat in carbohydrates. And remember, any excess sugar will be stored as fat. So we have to remember our body is going to control these things after they come in. That insulin is going to control it. So I kind of have my own math, and I want you to kind of think about this for a second. Is that, can you get fat eating a fat-free muffin, right? There's no fat in it. How could you get fat? And this is what a lot of the food industry would have us believe. We even were kind of, I think, taught this a little bit in our health classes as children. But the reality is this, is that if you ate a fat-free muffin, the average one would have about 96 grams of sugar, which is half, just about half, you know, the government's recommendation of a woman's daily allowance of sugar. But believe it or not, I think it's about your total daily allowance of sugar, okay? So you really the average person really only needs about 30 grams of sugar, you know, at a time, you know, as far as like in a meal. That'd be their sugar requirement for a healthy person that's at a good weight and exercises, and, you know, we're talking about doesn't have any metabolic health issues, okay? And so they're going to only use about 30 grams of that 96 grams of carbohydrate. The rest of that carbohydrate is going to be turned into fat. So eating a fat-free muffin didn't really help you lose weight at all, because you're going to take 2/3 of that muffin and make fat with it, all right? And when you do that, you know, fat is about half the weight of sugar, so it takes about almost, and this is just, I'm rounding it out to make it easy, it's almost like sugar is 2 times what fat is. So as far as calories go, so 30 grams of sugar used up would leave you with about 66 grams of sugar. If we convert that 66 grams of sugar, fat is lighter than sugar, believe it or not. That's why we store our excess energy as fat. It's lighter. It's an easier way to carry around extra energy. So we will convert that other 66 grams into about 33 grams of fat, okay? So basically, after you've ingested this food, what you end up with inside your body is 30 grams of sugar for energy and 33 grams of fat. Now, if you had a Whopper for breakfast, it's 26 grams of fat, and it's got 29 grams of sugar, which is, you know, about less than what your sugar intake would be. So you actually are going to have, even though it may be considered higher in calorie, you're going to have less of an impact on your weight than you would with the sugars, and because the insulin is not going to be affected by that. But we're going to talk about it in a second. So, and I don't want you to start eating Whoppers for breakfast. That's not what I'm getting at. I want you to stop eating these sugar bomb muffins for breakfast, because you're eating these calorie-packed, you know, energy-packed foods that are driving weight gain. You might as well have had a Whopper if you had a muffin, fat-free muffin. But I'd rather you not have either for breakfast. You want to choose healthier than that. And that's where you're going to lose weight, feel better, have lower cholesterol. Okay? Good. I hope I got that clear. So we're going to talk about this insulin that I keep saying is so important. And basically, when we think about a hormone, I like to equate it to this, is that hormones are like an email sent to every cell in the body, okay? to give it a message, to tell it to do something. That's how your body communicates with itself. So when your blood sugar goes up, insulin is going to, your body's going to recognize this. It has ways of measuring blood sugar, and it's going to react, say, oh my gosh, the blood sugar has gone up. We need to get that down. It's very important to keep it down. So we'll release this hormone to every cell in the body to really help us get our blood sugar down. And this happens every time we eat a meal with, typically about over 30 grams of sugars when you're going to get a significant insulin release. So what that message, what that email to all the cells in your body is saying is, hey, let's get rid of this sugar. And how are we going to do it? We're going to take that sugar and we're going to turn it into fat. That's how we get rid of it. And so all the cells in your body are told to work towards fat production. Another thing that happens is that you're not going to, when you burn fat, you're making sugar for energy, right? So you're not going to burn fat. So you're telling your body not to burn fat either. So this is like a dieter's nightmare. I mean, the last thing you want in the world while you're trying to lose weight is someone sending emails to all the cells in your body saying don't lose weight, gain weight, okay? And so if we can avoid this email, if we can stop this email from going out, we can help our cells and we can keep our metabolism going faster instead of slowing it down, and we can stop making so much fat. So that's really the trick behind it. Now, again, so what we're saying is there's other things than just eating, calories to controlling weight gain. Hormones control it, okay? Not just hormones, but how our body works. There's more things to that. And we're going to talk about different metabolisms and things that could go wrong. But I wanted you to not feel like, we hear that a lot, oh, if you just ate less, problem solved. No, it's not that easy. If it was that easy, everybody would be thin. If I wish I could just turn off my appetite and not have it sometimes, but it doesn't work that way. There's other factors controlling it, okay? There's things like what you have been eating controls how you feel, how your blood sugar behaves, those sort of things. So nutrition affects that. Vitamin deficiencies will cause problems with metabolism. You can be genetically predisposed to being heavy or thin, okay? So they did studies, actually, and it was proven that you can be genetically overweight. Your body, that's your body shape, okay? But what they've also proved with the study was that you can be thinner, but you have to work harder. So the trick is, if you're struggling with your weight, you may have a genetic predisposition, but if you really want to work at keeping your weight down and you look at other factors to know what your health level is, your blood sugar, your cholesterol, things like that, your look for vitamin deficiencies, your red blood cell count, then we would know more about your health. But you can lose the weight. It's just going to be more difficult. It's going to take you work. You're not going to be like the person that just seems to eat everything they want and stay skinny because maybe they're genetically prone to, or maybe they have a very high metabolism, or they developed a high metabolism early and it's benefiting them now. So hormones will affect this too. Lots of people talk about when their hormones shift, they have weight gains or weight losses. I put on here mitochondria, and that might be a term that nobody knows, and we're going to talk about it later, so don't be confused. But how it's basically how well our cells can burn energy, okay? And then also things that affect it are if we're diabetic or not diabetic, if we're anemic, how much we exercise, our current weight. If your body's more efficient weight-wise, it's easier to keep weight off than if it was heavier, okay? And then our appetite, lifestyle, just a lot of different variables.